Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're gonna be nicer to call center reps after watching this video. I want it free and now. I do not always speak to customers at work. In fact, it's quite rare. I'm an executive that oversees several departments and the call center is part of my domain. Last week, I scheduled a meeting for all of our customer service managers to receive cross-training in another area for a new product. I went and hung out in the call center to make sure they were okay. Senior agents can take escalation calls, and to check on some things. I was on the floor for about 15 minutes when I hear a new rep sounding flustered. I started listening into her call and she's doing great, but the customer is being relentlessly aggressive with multiple requests. Everything seems to be wrapping up, but the customer then requests a special type of file. This is not part of their package and the rep quotes the customer $150 for the file. The customer gets very upset and the rep agrees to have the cost of the file covered. This is fine and within the rep's powers, the customer settles down a bit. These files are created within 24 to 48 hours for customers and are delivered through a file transferring service as they are too large to email. This is explained and the customer demands the file be sent immediately. This is not within the rep's power and the customer requests to speak to a manager immediately. I scribbled quickly onto a post-it note for the rep to send me the call in my office and I hustled to get there to take it. The customer asked me if I was the rep's manager. I explained that I am the executive that oversees the operations department, including the call center. The customer told me her version of the situation and then let me know that the rep had agreed to cover the cost for the file, but that it was simply ridiculous that the file would not be ready for 24 to 48 hours. She demanded that I rush the order. I let her know that we do not offer rush services for that product and we process requests in the order they're received. I let her know that I checked the queue for that type of request and there were 15 ahead of hers. I told her that a request would almost certainly be processed by the end of the day. It was about 3 p.m. She demanded that I have her job processed first and asked if there was anything I could do to expedite the request. I told her she could pay $150 special rush fee and pay the $150 for the file. I let her know that if she did, I would prioritize her request and have the file transferred in the next 30 minutes. She was beside herself. She should not have to pay. She then asked me why the other customers were getting to receive their orders first. I again let her know that they had all requested before her and that they had all paid for their files. She told me that she would be complaining to my manager, lol, and that she would be leaving a negative review online. I let her know that if she's unhappy with her service, I would just refund her entire order and she could find another company to service her in a way that she would be happy with. I also reminded her that a bad review is a drop in the bucket for us. We have tens of thousands of great reviews. I explained that a bad review for her business would be much more impactful. She asked if I intended to leave her company a bad review. I let her know that it was totally up to her. I have not seen a negative review as of yet. Okay, so that customer was clearly severely entitled and acting like a brat, and I've dealt with numerous customers like this. The part at the end though unsettles me a little bit. It's a tad threatening and something an executive probably doesn't need to do. If it's true that their company has thousands of amazing reviews, then a customer threatening a bad one shouldn't faze them at all. Like you said, it's a drop in the bucket, so that just seemed a bit much for me. Getting away from it all. I work for a small rural ISP. And when I say rural, I do mean the wide open plains. We're in the mountains, surrounded by more mountains. I'd say there are mountains as far as the eye can see, but the eye can't see very far due to all the mountains, and they are tree-covered mountains at that. We are broadband, and line of sight is totally a thing with our equipment. We've got access points all over the mountains, but they can't reach everywhere due to topography and tree cover. Calls with potential customers usually go just fine. We are able to reach most of the people who call us. A good many of these people are from highly populated areas with fibre internet. So first there is the sticker shock of pricing. We cannot compete with cable pricing. Then the speeds, ditto. And then our hours in service. We are not 24/7 with dozens of staff just waiting to rush out and replace your equipment. There are only 18 of us total. If you live in a town, we have a decent chance of fibre, but only in town. Outside of town, there is us, satellite and a cellular hotspot, maybe. Signal is spotty all over. When you try to explain that you can't provide service to the address in questions, you get comments like this, my thoughts in italics. Well, how about if you put up a pole? Everyone thinks we can just put a wooden phone pole in their yard, except it's unlikely to give them the height they need and they don't think about things like digging a hole for the pole and how to get power to the pole. They think we just set up a phone pole on the ground, climb it, hang some equipment and voila, internet. I've got line of sight to this mountain. No you don't. You're lying to get us out there thinking you can browbeat or bribe the tech into magically making a signal appear, as if we're just rejecting customers for giggles. Well, I'll cut down some trees. The trees in your way are not on your property, and even if they were, I cannot guarantee we can get you the service if they were down. Plus, you'd need to decimate about 1/4 of a mile of pines. We're not talking about the 3 elm trees here. Google says you can provide service to this address. We are the only non-satellite internet provider in the area, so yes, we are the name that comes up, but that does not mean Google is promising we can give you internet. Google has been saying for years that I can get FiOS. I cannot get FiOS. My realtor said I could get internet here. Pity your realtor didn't think to pay $50 for us to come and survey the property first like many of their competitors do, because we could have told them that you don't. No, I was told I could get internet here and I expect to get it. You were not told by us, but for the low price of about $10,000 we might be able to make it happen. Would you like our senior engineer to give you a call later in the week? I've actually said something along these lines to a few people and had 2 people take me up on it. One is now a host site, the other we couldn't help and he threatened to sue. Look lady, there is no cell service here. I can't get satellite for some bull reason, topography and trees. And now you're telling me I can't get your service for some other bull reason, trees and topography. I've moved from this densely populated area and I need to be able to work remotely. Well, I recommend the coffee shop in town. It has free Wi-Fi, but they will hassle you to make a purchase every couple of hours if you're taking up a table. Ditto for McDonald's. I get it. You moved away from the city and surrounding suburbs to get away from it all. What you failed to take into account was that all includes fibre internet, cable TV, Uber, restaurants that deliver, and very often cell signal as well. When I'm driving up and down mountains, dragging my kids hither and yon to various activities, and I see houses being built back deep in the trees, I always wonder to myself, did they ask about internet before they bought? Do they not care about it? Do they think their cell booster will get them enough bars to hotspot? Or are they gonna call me in a few weeks and cuss me out for being unable to provide service to them? Damn, imagine buying your dream home and then finding out you can't get internet. Back to the city I go! Another one bites the dust. I worked in a call centre for a large bank for close to 2 years, starting from the bottom of the food chain, all the way up to leadership and then towards another team where I am currently. During my time there, I handled tens of thousands of calls, complaints, escalation, hopeless customers, the works. One very story always comes to mind when I read this subreddit, so I decided to share. This was about 5 months ago when I was supporting my colleagues who were taking calls by answering questions and handling any "can I speak to the manager" asshats, which I always enjoy. I guess most of the fun is that I was no level of seniority to my colleagues, but the idea of me being a point of escalation always tingled customers' marbles, so to speak. In Australia, we have a function where you can link your mobile number or an email address to your account so that when someone is transferring you funds, you don't need to provide any bank-specific information, which is pretty great. This feature is called NPP, New Payments Platform, relevant for the story, and when you register, it automatically populates your name with the account you're linking with it to prevent fraud. This feature also will cause the transfer to clear within 60 seconds to the other person's account, which brought Australia to the 21st century, finally. So this customer was your typical deadbeat, jobless, government benefit living bogan, also known as ferals or trailer trash. Bogans are usually people of low socioeconomic status that live in cheap housing and drive old Holdens and Fords. We'll call her Stacey. Stacey had just received her government pay that day and then transferred the money to her mobile number, which was linked to an account with another bank. The customer had escalated the call because she was testing the new payment system and the funds had not been received in her account with us, and she was furious. Essentially, she was trying to say that she had transferred funds from her account with us back into it to test it. Yeah, sure. I took the call. S is Stacey and M is me. I am so sick of you effing banks stealing my money. I sent money to my mobile and they're all gone. I understand you feel you're out of pocket currently. If the mobile was not linked to an account, they would have returned. Otherwise, they must have gone elsewhere. Let me take a look for you. I know what's happened. You jerks are keeping me from feeding my kids. We are able to do a search and see where an NPP account is registered to. I can see where you've sent the funds to is another bank registered in your name. Do you have an account elsewhere? No, I don't have any other accounts. You aren't listening to me? Plus another number of slurs, etc., which I can't be bothered typing. Now, it's worth noting that as a bank, we have the due diligence of looking after our staff and our customers and take threats extremely seriously. We have all the details of our customers, where they work, their address, contact details, etc., and of course their transaction history. The same customer transfers the majority of their money every month to the same place with no issue. All other transactions are gambling related. Go figure. From here, I explain a number of times that the funds are not going to show up in her account with us and will be in the other bank account, which is registered in her name. This level of logic and fact are too much for the customer to bear. I'm going to kill you and burn down your effing house. F you. At this point, I end the call, thanking her for her time. Niceties always peeve people like this off, and contact our securities team. I lodged an incident and the police were dispatched to her home, and a report was lodged against her for threatening to kill a person. I have no idea who in their right mind would threaten this when they know nothing but my first name and I have all the details about them on file, but what can you expect from this kind of person? Wow, I wonder if this is the same person who was infamous in the call centre I worked at, which was also a bank, except I think our one was a bit more violent. Basically, the person came on the phone shouting and screaming, and it was escalated to a manager, and then it was escalated again to a senior manager. Now, in the place I worked at, you don't mess with senior managers. They had a minimum of 10 years experience, and most of the ones I worked with had started at the bottom, so they've seen everything. But this person went as far as to threaten the senior manager, and when they could tell it didn't bother him at all, the person started going into graphic detail about they were going to find where the manager lived and hurt their children. Boom. Police called, charges filed, and everything. And I share the same opinion as the person in this post. When you call through, especially to a bank, we have all of your details and you know nothing about us. What do people think they're going to achieve by threatening our lives? Okay, so that's all from r/TalesFromCallCenters. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter, Discord, and Patreon links are in the description, and any support is greatly appreciated. I also want to say thank you to my wonderful patrons: BackwardsDDog, Tyler Miller, Joseph D Owens, Jen Spanning, Kate McCutcheon, Skyler A, Elizabeth Filmore, Two Chooks, and Jen Burton. Thank you so much for your support. Mwah. That's for you, but keep it between us, okay? Thank you so much for watching.